Now, here are examples of wealth creation type businesses. You already know one that was part of your examples and essentials, where Bizarre Financing Essentials techniques enabled two orderlies to buy the hospital that they worked for. Obviously, they could not have started this hospital. It was not possible. But how could they pull it off? Because it had cash flow, because there was a strategy that would enable them to work with doctors and bring them together to make it profitable for them to put up the money to buy the hospital. You know the story. So you're starting to see where once you're into a going concern, you have so much more to work with. And then when you close the deal, you're so much further ahead. And you didn't have to wear all the hats. And you don't have to wear all the hats going forward. Bizarre Financing Essentials Techniques bought a composting and recycling business, and that transformed into a niche source of fireplace logs. In this case, they bought a composting and recycling business. They were looking at what do they do with these waste products that they were having to deal with. They started to get the idea that this stuff was burnable. Then they figured out how to separate it in a way that they could compress it into logs and then sell those logs, and a whole new business was born out of that. So it's incredible what you can do when you start to get the idea that you can buy, and then you start to look at how do you resource what you've purchased into more directions, into taking it into new areas. And that's where your imagination and your internal capabilities can really start to shine. But now you've got an entity that's up, running, profitable, great cash flow to do it out of. It's a whole difference than starting a business from scratch. Bizarre Financing Essentials techniques enable the kids of the founder of this Bell company to buy the business, keeping it in the family, while providing their selling parents as much cash as if it were sold to an outsider. When the kids took Bizarre Financing Essentials, they were just thinking of going out and buying a business. And the parents had this family business, the Bell Company, up for sale, but they didn't think they could buy that company. And dad wanted this big chunk of cash, and he had it on the marketplace, and he was going to sell it. And the kids had no idea that they could come up with the money to buy this thing. But when they came through Bizarre Financing and they realized, gosh, this company makes these bells. We got all this inventory. We got accounts receivable. We've got machinery and equipment. We've got land and buildings. We've got all this stuff to make these bells. Now we know how to leverage that. We can come back and make a better offer to our parents than they've been getting from outsiders. And the family sold it to them. And they liked it because that way they got to keep it in the family. But it's the same techniques, guys. It's the same techniques. All these techniques should be very familiar to you by now. Bizarre Financing Essentials Techniques bought a tractor repair business that grew into a niche farm equipment manufacturer. So here this guy is out there in the countryside, and he's got a lot of tractors that farmers have all around. There was a tractor repair business that came for sale. He bought the tractor repair business, and as he's working to repair tractors, he's talking to farmers, and they're telling them a little bit about what they need in the way of equipment. Nobody makes the exact equipment that they were telling him he needed. He's got all the tools, he's got all the machinery, he's got all the equipment that he has for the repair, but he can easily adapt that equipment to actually put together a tractor that would now with the comments he's hearing from the farmers around him that are telling him, if we only had something that did this, that would be really cool. It would really be helpful. So next thing you know, he's made a prototype. Next thing he's got farmers out testing his prototype. Next thing you know, he's got farmers that keep calling him saying, can I get one of those? And then he starts to realize, I got a profitable business here. I got all the equipment, all the tools, everything here. I can just now do X, and now I can make these in a small quantity. And then when he starts making a small quantity, he figures out how he can make a bigger quantity, make them faster, and now he's got enough profit to get some financing, to buy some additional equipment that enables him to do things bigger, better, faster than he could with his repair equipment. So you see how it grows. You see how it goes. All right. But he didn't start this tractor company from scratch. Okay, he started it by buying a company first and then morphing it into what he saw as an opportunity as he was operating his tractor repair business. Bizarre Financing Essentials Techniques bought a plastics recycling business that transformed into a niche toy manufacturing company. Same thing happened here. This individual bought this company. It was nothing more than a plastics recycling business. It was making money. It was doing fine, working in plastics recycling. But as he's got all this recycled plastic, he starts to get ideas. Why just scrap this stuff? What if I do this with it? And then again, he started looking at how he could manufacture some toys. He had people in his church, in his community, that found out he was making these little toys out of plastic, and that they were green, meaning that this whole idea was the recycled plastic meant that there wasn't plastic going into landfills. So people who had this green idea in their own heads were saying, let me see these toys you're making. And the next thing, we started to develop a demand for the toys. And then he starts building toys. Anyway, it's organic. It grew from there. Okay, but it started as a plastics recycling business.